Nothing about Ayan looked unusual, except that he never spoke as the world moved around him. At school, the day began with noise, laughter, and voices filling every corner of the classroom. Questions were asked, hands were raised, and answers came quickly from every direction. But in the last row, Ayan sat quietly, untouched by the noise that surrounded him. Every day, he held a small wooden toy boat, keeping it close as if it carried his thoughts. When teachers looked to him for answers, Ayan lowered his eyes instead of speaking. When children tried to talk to him, he smiled gently, letting silence speak in his place. At home, Ayan's world felt quieter and warmer, a place where silence was never questioned. His grandmother watched him with gentle eyes, noticing things the rest of the world missed. To her, Ayan's silence was never emptiness, but a language of its own. "He speaks, just not with words," she always said, with calm certainty and steady love. One rainy afternoon, the sky darkened gently as a new teacher arrived at the school. Her name was Miss Alina, and she carried a calm presence that quietly changed the room. On her very first day, her eyes paused on something others had learned not to notice. She noticed the boy sitting silently in the last row, holding the same wooden boat. While others saw silence, Miss Alina sensed a story waiting to be understood. When the bell rang for recess, children rushed outside laughing, but Ayan stayed quietly behind. Miss Alina noticed and sat beside him, choosing patience and presence instead of questions. "That's a beautiful boat," she said softly, and for a moment it felt like Ayan might speak. Instead of words, Ayan placed the boat down and drew something strange, a single door. "What's behind the door?" she asked gently, but then the bell rang, and the moment vanished. That evening, Miss Alina visited Ayan's grandmother, unable to forget the boy and his drawing. "He hasn't spoken since the accident," the grandmother said softly, her voice steady but tired. Ayan's parents were fishermen who once promised him they would return before sunset. But that evening, the storm arrived too fast, and the sea did not give them back. Ayan waited that night, then the next morning, and for many days after that. From that day on, words felt too heavy, and Ayan slowly stopped speaking. At school, Ayan never spoke, but he listened deeply, noticing things others were too busy to see. When a classmate dropped a book, Ayan reacted before anyone else even noticed. The classroom returned to noise, but Ayan's attention stayed fixed on the people around him. Across the room, a child sat silently crying, trying not to draw attention. Ayan noticed immediately and slid a tissue across the desk without saying a single word. Though words never came, Ayan's actions spoke clearly to those willing to notice. One morning, Miss Alina placed something unexpected on Ayan's desk and quietly stepped away. Ayan froze as he stared at the small door, memories and emotions rushing back all at once. "You don't have to open it today," Miss Alina said softly, protecting the moment from fear. With trembling hands, Ayan slowly opened the door, unsure if he was ready to see inside. Inside was a drawing of a small boat and two figures waving, and Ayan's tears finally fell. Days passed quietly, and little by little, something inside Ayan began to feel lighter. One afternoon, during rehearsal for the school play, the room suddenly fell silent. In the silence, a soft and shaky voice spoke for the first time, surprising everyone. "They go to the sea and come back," Ayan said, barely louder than a whisper. No one clapped or spoke, but everyone understood they had just witnessed something rare. Years later, a grown man stood by the ocean, holding the same wooden boat from his childhood. The sea looked different now, no longer a place of waiting, but one of quiet understanding. Ayan knelt down, feeling the water at his feet, remembering everything he once waited for. He placed the boat on the water and whispered, "I waited, but I also learned to live." The boat floated away, carrying memories forward instead of holding them in place. For the first time, Ayan smiled without sadness, letting silence finally feel complete.
subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for next video.